Yeah, that's right. It was always going to be Snow Brown. Oh, dear God. Right, look. Snow White. We've got part of the shortlist now for the actors. So Rachel Zegler was almost not going to be cast, but we were also going to have Renata Vega. Now, look, as if I've got to say it, I don't care whether it's the Latinas that are cast for anything. I don't care. But we're talking about Snow White. The complexion is as white as snow. It's the clue is in the name, and I think this is an interesting conversation to go into, right? Because this goes to show that from its inception point, this remake was never going to be a remake. They were going very much for. They sort of tentatively approached it when it came to Little Mermaid, and then they just went balls to the wall with this. They were always going to change it up as massive as they possibly could, and this is part of that. They were going to have. They sent out a casting call, obviously for Latina actresses. They were always going for a Latina actress, and that fundamentally goes to show that the lack of respect for the original from the off was just never there. They just didn't have any respect at all. So this came out in an interview, basically, and it says, we started the casting. I did it. He gave me some annotations. They said thank you, and that's it. I think I needed, more to make that decision. Besides, Rachel Zegler's so talented. No, she's not. To me, it's like, no way. Mark Webb directed me, even if it's just for a casting call. I was Snow White there, and they saw me as Snow White at some point. Maybe one day.
So they were only looking at Latina actresses? Is that what you're saying?
Well, look, she was one of the finalists to play Snow White. This Renata Vega, she was one of the finalists. Rachel Zegler got the part. So if you're narrowing it down and all the people that you narrow it down to as finalists end up being Latina, we know two Latina actresses now. The one which got the role, one which narrowly missed out on the role. So logic would dictate that they sent out a casting call for Latina actresses. Can't confirm it, but it's highly likely it was not an open-ended casting.
How's that not racist?
Well, of course it is. Absolutely, of course it is. Well, thoughts? I hand it on over to you then, Tom. Come on, let's go.
I say racism. I mean, if you didn't allow any black women, white women, Italian women, Jewish women to try out for this role and only women of Latina background, then I think that's pretty racist, or Hispanic background. Sorry. Use the term correctly.
100% is racist, without a shadow of a doubt. And it also flies in the face because the thing is,
everything they're pushing, yeah.
Well, the thing is, we know that we know they're lying, and they know that we know that they're lying, and yet they still do it anyway. It's the ultimate gaslight, because they'll come out now in interviews further down the line, call everyone racist for not watching it, for rejecting it outright, and then they'll also say, "But we just cast the best person for the role from a shortlist solely, again, highly likely, of just Latinos."
Yeah.
So
that's a very important point right there, because they always say this, that oh no, we did this stunt casting because this was the best person for the role. No, it wasn't. You were very specifically going for stunt casting always. Like, this is 100% of the case. Like, there has never ever been a case where they have made a movie like Snow White and this Latina or black or Asian or what have you, chick or actor or whatever, was just so good in the casting call that this was the right person. No, it wasn't the right person. It was the person you were looking for. You were looking very specifically for stunt casting, and among the possible choices that satisfied the stunt casting requirements, this may have been the best choice for the role, as was required in this particular version of the movie. That is the case. In this sense, I'm glad that this got out, because it only confirms what we all knew. This was never about honoring the legacy, making money. These are the activists in Disney that want to stick it to Walt Disney, who are ashamed of working, or not for Disney today, because today Disney is the Iger company and they love that, but they're ashamed of the legacy of the Disney company. They're ashamed of the legacy of Walt Disney. They're ashamed of the classic Disney movies, and they want to fix them, make them their own with the times. Whereas everyone else would say, destroy them.
Yeah, and just like alternatively, I'm sure they didn't look at any other actresses who weren't black for The Little Mermaid. Just like I'm sure if you ask them, did you look at any other actresses who weren't Asian for Mulan, they wouldn't have either. So right there's calling out their hypocrisy, right? So this is what I've been saying all this time. It's like either you stick with what you got or you don't do it, because what you're doing is basically I've compared it to it's no different to me than the old sideshow at the circus. It's, the same thing as come see the amazing chicken boy and the bearded fat lady and all this other kind of stuff. And they use the quote unquote freak show, to pull in customers. And that's really what it is. And until a lot of these folks say, no, I will not be allowed to be your part of your freak show, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. I mean, unequivocally, it is racism. You are diminishing. It's also a form of cultural appropriation, quite frankly, where sort of Snow White comes from, the sort of origin of it all, etc., etc. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was the same with The Little Mermaid, where that came from, and the sort of origin of that. That was a form of cultural appropriation. And they can beat around the bush as much as they want. Well, no, it was set in this time and blah, blah, blah. Shut up. It's absolutely ridiculous. It goes back to what we were talking about last stream with Robin Hood. Tom's epic raps, which I haven't edited that video yet, and I'm so looking forward to doing it because I'm going to laugh my ass off again. But it's the same thing, it's just this repackaging, repurposing of old material, and it always amazes me why people are so happy for it as well, and they just lap up that sloppy second that you get in there. It's disgusting. You're happy to just slot in and take that. You're literally a checkbox at that point. You are literally a checkpoint.
They should have just given it to
a checkbox.
They should have just given the role to Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh dear God! He's pretty pale. He'd at least fit it in that regard.
Yeah,
at least he would fit the complexion of Snow White.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there are. Why can't Disney do a fairy tale for Latinas? Right? Why can't you do Latin representation that way? And I always say this when it comes to Netflix and just general modern programming as a whole, is we have this modern programming where you absolutely unequivocally know before you even get the casting what's going to happen. You're going to get this archetype, that archetype, and it's going to be diversity across the board. And it becomes homogenous. Everything is homogenous via diversity. What I would like is diversity through programming, not diversity through hiring and casting. Give me Netflix with all their, epic sums of cash that they've got. Give me a Central African myth and legend. Hire one of those directors to tell a fairy tale and folklore story from Central Africa, one that I've got no idea about. I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. Again, like they've been doing with the Korean stuff. Hire some Korean people to do stuff like that. Get that stuff. That's great. Epic. Nah. We just homogenous diversity casting where everything that's going to happen. It's just ridiculous. Boring. Absolutely boring. Culture, you look like you wanted to chime in there, bud.
Look, I've been tired of this for a long time. Stunt casting, whatever you want to call it. And Hollywood's always done some form of stunt casting, but usually it's like a star. They'll go out and get an actual certified star. Rachel Zegler's far from a star. She's far from being talented. She's far from a lot of the attributes that people were trying to assign to her in all of these articles. She's only been involved in things that have flopped and failed. She's about to be involved in 2 more. One of them is coming up, the songbirds and snakes and sucking
Hunger Games.
That thing, yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, that's about to fail, and we know Snow White's going to fail, and they push that back a long way, but it's not lost on me that somebody else is going to be trying to hold up this Hunger Games film, and now they're under the weight of the Snow White bologna sausage, so that film's going to suck rocks. So yeah. I look at it and I'm saying, okay, you picked this lady, then you gave her like a public relations training that only feeds into this, but it's on them 100% because they decided to cast outside of type. And you have a character written the same way the origins, all that. Sure, it's a racism, absolutely, but at the same time, it's not in service of telling the story. It's not even in service of recreating the story. And I think Tom hit the nail on the head a couple weeks ago when he said, "What this really is Disney accidentally making something original out of something that they're trying to portray as Snow White." And I think that's more likely what it is. But you know, does it surprise me that we were always going to have Snow Brown? No, not at all.
No, I think what'll be interesting is, so Little Mermaid, someone in the chat said, well, their stunt casting sort of works because it's on 560 million worldwide. That's awful for the Little Mermaid. That should have been $1 billion movie. And
compared
the thing
to the
is,
other films,
yeah, it should have been $1 billion movie. That's what these live action films have done. So that's actually horrendous, and it hasn't made any money. It's
not only
good
that, shows that they've already lost half of their audience. Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, not only that, right? You've also got to, that's not good. Like, that's their sort of metric test to see how changing stuff up was going to work or not. And then they've got this movie coming out. This will unequivocally bomb. And they'll try and play it up, I reckon, because we're going to get a delay. And I bet you anything, hot prediction, right? Hot prediction that their marketing change of tactic will be play up to the Latino audience. I bet you that's what they're going to do, because they haven't done that yet. And I bet you they are going to do that now moving forwards, because they have to change their marketing tactic somehow. The marketing has been out with the old, in with the new. This obviously came from them. But yeah, I reckon they'll try and play it to the Latino audience. And I don't think they'll buy it either, which good on them,
You know what the irony is?
Oh, no.
You know how you play to the Latino audience?
We don't. You
make good
characters.
Because the Latino audience loves good movies. That's what they're in for. You make a good movie, the Latino audience will be there. You have to
or put a car in it.
Yeah, maybe. But like, point is, you have to do anything super duper special to get them in. I mean, yeah, you have like the natural representation and stuff like that. If you have like a story that's set in LA or something, or Spain or in Mexico. But like, for instance, if you have a story that's set in medieval Europe, I don't think that the Latino audience appreciates that kind of stunt casting. I mean, Latinos are, on a whole, as a group, very sensible people.
Yeah, I think most people just want good movies, to be fair.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nick, we haven't heard from you yet.
I don't got much to add. I agree with everything everybody's been saying on this. I definitely think this is going to be a dead on arrival film. I don't think the audience is going to go out there and support this at all when it drops. It'll, of course, get a little bit of money. There'll be people that'll go see it, but it's going to lose money. It's going to be dead on arrival.
I wonder whether this will follow exactly the same as The Little Mermaid, where The Little Mermaid only did well domestically and bombed worldwide. Didn't do very well worldwide at all. And I wonder if this will be exactly the same as that.
That sounds like an extremely plausible scenario.
Yeah. I actually think it will do worse than Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah, no, I 100% believe you're on the money there. I reckon it will struggle to hit $400 million worldwide.
Agreed.
That's what it should.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Of all the movies that deserve to bomb, that's absolutely one of them for sure. Dead on arrival, hopefully, with any luck. So